Yes, guys. Honestly, I'm on a laptop, yeah. So anything that's not smooth in terms of transition, it's not my fault, mate. Normally, when I'm on PC, I'm like quick time the tune off, and then quick time the
I could hear
graphic.
it. I could hear you trying to click
You
it
could hear
off.
it, yeah. I'm like, fucking slow. Now, but big up to everybody that's locked in. Yeah, Hugh's not about, obviously, Monday night show. It's meant to be me, Hugh, and Amos, but Hugh's got stuck up in work chat, so he can't come on tonight, man. So he said he's going to come on tomorrow instead. But yeah, man, I'm joined here by Amos, man. Obviously, we're going to talk about yesterday, what happened, where's his legals, the reaction, what do we think, just the general vibes, man. I just want to know the general vibes from everybody. You know what I'm saying? I want to know what people are thinking, and I want to know what you guys are thinking in the chat as well. So smash these likes. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys are subscribed to City Ramble as well. People saying something wrong with the mic. Yo, can you hear my mic on now?
Sounds a bit crackly. It's semi coming through, but it's a bit like.
Yo, what about that? Is that any better? I've just switched.
Think so. Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah. If it's all right, if it don't bad, I go on my phone. If it starts lagging, I'll just get on my phone. So let me know if it is it all right now? Yeah.
Think so. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it goes laggy,
sounds okay.
Yeah, I'll go on my phone. But yeah, Amos, bro, what you saying, man? How are you feeling about yesterday, man? Obviously, disappointing result. We was on a 9-match unbeaten streak. It wasn't to be yesterday. I seen some of your tweets, man. You obviously felt it was a bit unlucky at times, but still a little bit frustrating, man. What you thinking?
Yeah, I think I put that tweet out, and it's one of them, like the new Twitter algorithm. It's so annoying because you stick something up in like midway through the match, and fucking like 100 people latch onto it about 2 hours after full time. And it's like, now that's not my overall thoughts. You know what I mean? That was just something I thought in the moment. But to be fair, I do think part of. No. Let me rephrase that. I don't think City were anywhere near good enough. Obviously, it was a bad performance, especially that first half. Do you think the second half was a little bit better, but still bad? There was a little bit of unluck. I thought, when you've got a defender facing his own goal and somehow still clearing it off the line and sticking it above the crossbar, like 99 times out of 100, that's an own goal. You know what I mean? Haaland 1v1, usually expect him to put them away. He gets a header. It was a semi-difficult chance, but he had an off day. I think the whole team had an off day. It's one of them. Like it wasn't City's day, and part of that, well, a lot of that was their own fault. Maybe 5% of it was luck going in the way of Villa. I thought Villa defended incredibly well, by the way. Onana. Yeah. I know you were sort of on a fly. I don't know. Have you seen the full 90 back, or have you just seen the highlights?
I seen the extended highlights, but it's like 20 minutes. Yeah.
Onana was like literally everywhere.
You could tell that from the highlights that he looked fucking mint.
Yeah, he bossed it, and that Kamara as well. And I think it was, you go back to that Spurs game at the start of the season when we were saying, it was bad, but it wasn't panic stations. It just felt like they had a bit of a fitter team, a bit of a more physical team. And when you've not got Rodri, you've not got Nico Gonzalez, it's semi-expected. I would have preferred Kovacic to start, but like we had the same issues when Kovacic started last season. Do you know what I mean? So it just felt like City coming to the game. They were in good form. Obviously, Villa on a bit of a winning streak themselves. Frustrating. Nowhere near good enough. Big talking points. I think the wingers is definitely one that's dominating. But in terms of like big picture stuff, head screwed on for now. I don't think there's any reason to panic big time.
Yeah, no, it's a weird one for me because on Saturday night I did my preview, Amos, and I was like, no, listen, the thing for me is like this is going to be a scrap. Yeah, I was speaking about scrappers, and then obviously, like I told you guys this morning, I was on the plane, and when I landed and I seen we lost 1-0, I went to the team lineup and I looked at the starting 11. I thought they're not scrappers for me. They're not.
It was defo sus.
Yeah, and it's like you know what I mean. It's like. And you know what? Sometimes, like after a game, you say something as a fan, and people go, "Oh, you're being reactionary," and sometimes you are. Sometimes I'll say it on a reel. That sometimes I say shit, and I'm like, "Yo, that's reactionary thing." And I know I'm saying I'll say it like and I'll finish the stream. I'll come off the stream. I'll be like, "Yo, that was reactionary." But like this wasn't reactionary. Again, before the game started on Saturday night, I was like, you can't start a weak midfield. You've got to have players in there that are going to, and not just midfield, you've got to have players in this game that are going to scrap, mate. Because if you've been at Villa Park, I've been there as a fan, you've been there as a fan, Amos, yeah? You know what it's like. It's a hostile arena. And then when you look at their midfield, and you look at John McGinn and players like Rodgers, who are physical players, you think to yourself, we need players on that pitch that can sort of like get stuck in and dominate. And that's why, for me, in this particular game, I would have personally dropped Reinders and played Kovacic and Bernardo in midfield. Now, obviously, in my opinion, I would have fucking injected Nico Gonzalez, Amos, yeah, and just like, you know what I mean, got him played. But had that not been available, I would have played them both. And then I looked at this and I seen no Doku. And I thought, listen, like Doku is one of those players that like some people love him and some people that don't like him, yeah. But one thing that everybody can agree on is that the guy gets stuck in and he loves a challenge. And I'm looking at him, I'm not on the picture, I'm thinking, Savio and Bob. I like both Savio and Bob. I rate them both, but they're literally like, that is probably the worst partnership that I think you could have played at a place like Villa Park, if I'm being completely honest, because of the lack of physicality. So I do look at Pep on that because I think Pep's been great this year. I think Pep's made some great decision making in some of his starting 11s, and you know, the last sort of like 6, 7, 8 games, I've been praising Pep so much, saying I think he's getting everything spot on, I think he's getting everything right, I think he's understanding. But then I'm looking at that starting 11 yesterday, I'm thinking, why on earth did you play that starting 11? Like, no scrapping in on the wings with no Doku. You know, I would have played Doku and Cherky. It was complete opposite for me. I would have played Kovacic in the middle, and I look at it and I think, and then you know, they're tinkering at the back as well with Gvardiol at left back instead of Nico O'Reilly. I'm thinking to myself, that's the only thing I look at. Listen, you can get beat at Villa Park, Amos. Yeah, you like I say, you've been there before. It's a difficult place to go, but I just look at that and think, man, Pep, man, what, you know, there's a lot of changes there that I don't think he should have made. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that. I think I agree. Like for me, Gvardiol and Diaz was ticking over. You can see why he wants to bring Stones into that team because of the lack of holding midfielder. I just think there's a difference when Stones stepping up from defence when there's a number 6 there compared to when there isn't. I think it was one of them Villa Park games. It might have been the 23-24 season where Stones either played 6 on his own or was stepping up, and it was like, you know, he ain't the sort of solution when you've not got a holding midfielder. It's like you need that key for him to do what he does best and get on the ball and pick the passes, blah blah.
I'm so glad you said that, Amos. Sorry to interrupt real quick, yeah, but I'm so glad you said that, yeah, because I've said this so many times. Like, Stones pushing into a 6 is completely different to Stones playing as a 6, and it's completely different to Stones pushing in as a 6 when he's not next to Rodri or Nico Gonzalez. I'm like, sometimes I'm thinking to myself, like, why do people think it's just going to be the same? It's not the same. Like, it's a completely different system. You know what I mean? So, yeah, sorry to interrupt, man, but I was just thinking, like, I'm glad you said that because I've said this for a while. Again, this is not a reactionary take. I've said this for weeks, and people have been saying it in the chat. LB, why don't we do this more often? I've been saying, because I don't think it'll work if you don't have the correct personnel next to John Stones. Is not just going to play centre back, move next to Bernardo Silva in midfield, and then just start bossing it like he did in the treble year. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it felt like a stupid one, that I think. Look, if I don't know, Nico O'Reilly took that knock, didn't he, against Everton, but he's been back. He's been on the bench. It might be a case of like, we don't get the medical reports. It might be a case of him not being 100%. And fair enough, if they don't want to risk him, they don't want to risk him. But I agree, like, he's just so much better on that left-hand side. Gvardiol and Diaz, I think, is a really strong partnership. I personally wouldn't have risked Nico G from the start because I think I look at the coming fixtures now. Bournemouth, Dortmund, Liverpool. That's the biggest run of games that we've had so far this season, and probably will be till, you know, maybe like Champions League knockouts, blah blah. All 3 of them at home. Personally, I don't know if this is being over the top. My minimum expectation there is unbeaten. You look at the sort of form Liverpool are in. Obviously, Bournemouth is going to be a massive test. They're a great team. Dortmund, but I think, like, if City want to be serious and look, like I said, I'm not losing my head after the Villa game, but I think if City want to be serious, they should be looking at 3 home games against those teams and saying that the minimum is unbeaten. Whether or not that's 2 draws, a win, blah blah, 3 wins, whatever. I think, you know, you can sort of, if City lose 1, but they battered, I don't know, Dortmund and they just get a scrappy goal, whatever. But you get where I'm going at with that. So I don't think I'd have risked Nico G because it's looking like he's going to have to play a little bit. I know Rodri's back in training, but like, who knows nowadays how long we get from Rodri. But yeah, the forward line. Do you know what it is? The Bob one for me was the spooky one, because we had that chat last week about going to Villa Park and what it can be like, and whether or not we'd start Shirky. And I think the needle moved a little bit with Nico Gonzalez going off injured against Villarreal, and you could see why he's getting Bernardo in there. But Bob, in that first half especially, and I don't want to do the whole thing of jumping on the player's back, but it just felt so like passenger-esque. It was so sort of ghosting, I guess. And I thought Savinho was crap, but the one thing I'd say for Savinho's case is he was getting into decent positions, but as has always been his problem, it was the sort of deliveries and the the end product.
Isn't that the case with all three of them, though?
But I don't know. I don't even know if Bob was getting in them positions. That was my biggest issue. Like, Savinho, I thought was at least making the right runs. Bob was just sort of going a bit missing, and I've seen that a couple of times this season, which is worrying me, because there comes a point where he goes from being that academy player who's coming through the team and the excitement behind that to, right, you've got to do something now. You've got to sort of mature and grow up a bit, and yeah. But don't.
Okay, so right, I don't want to be like called out as a Bob Glazer, yeah, or a Bob defender. No, honestly, man, like I get called a Bob defender and a Bob Glazer all the time. However, my only point is on Bob, yeah, is that this is basically his first year.
Yeah, I think that's fine if you've got players around him that can do the job, but the issue with all of those wingers, and I don't want to chuck Cherky in there yet, but he is kind of in that similar position of young, plenty of potential, but have we seen it at the top? Have we seen it at the top level?
You, mate. I'll have you in the car park anytime.
You see Yamal calling out Carvajal last night. Yeah, he said that you see him in the car park. That was funny. Yeah. I think you said it on the stream this morning, LB. Like, you can get away with having one or two of them, but City aren't in a position where you can have four. And again, I don't want to be sort of. I can't wait to see Shirky. I think Shirky's going to start at least next couple of matches, and we'll see then. I think he's going to perform, and I think he's a top talent, and he will succeed at City. But he is that sort of same young potential. Will need a couple of years to get up to his full sort of peak, and that's the case for. You'd say Doku, you'd say Bob, you'd say Savinho, you'd say Shirky. Like, you can't. There's something has gone wrong there for them to be sort of your wingers.
The thing is, yeah, and like this is the problem with this, and we speak about it every day, every single day. We speak about the wingers, but the problem is, yeah, we let elite level football wingers leave this football club, yeah. And I know for a fact, people in this chat, people who'll be watching, will disagree on that, like the levels of they think these people are. Yeah, but you had Sterling, Sane, and Mahrez who left the club, and we've replaced them with Bob, Savinho, and Doku. And I'm sorry, yeah, but none of them three players get anywhere near the players that I mentioned at the start. And that's the problem. Is like, I don't mind. Like, people say, "Oh, you glaze Bob or whatever." Or like, I don't glaze Bob, bro. I've said for day one, I don't think Bob should be starting for Manchester City Football Club. I like him as a player. I think he's got technical ability, and I think he can be a really good player. I don't think he should be anywhere near a starting 11. Yeah. The thing is, yeah, we've got these three players in Savinho, Bob, and Doku, who all, in my opinion, should be rotational players. They should be rotational players, and they're not their first team week in, week out players. And the truth is, yeah, I'm sorry to say it, but they're just not good enough, man, to start week in, week out. Because the thing is, yeah, when you're playing for Manchester City Football Club or an elite level team, you need to be consistent. And the thing is, when you get these young players and they're not consistent, and this is the exact same thing that when I've been on these shows like with other fans, and I've been speaking about Chelsea, and I've been giving shit to Chelsea and been saying, this is the exact same reason I've been saying, because when you buy these young players, they're not consistent. Yeah, Chelsea will go and smack someone up 4-0 one week. They'll go lose 2-0 the next week because they're not consistent players. And this is what you get with young players. You get this with Bob. You get this with Savinho. Yeah, Savinho, midweek, man of the match, great performance. Yeah, then he plays against fucking Aston Villa and, didn't really do that much. Had a couple of shots or whatever. You know what I mean? Bob, obviously for me, I really like Bob. I think he's going to be a top player. I don't think he should be starting for Manchester City, Aston Villa away. There's a difference. Now, some people will find it difficult to understand what I'm saying because they've got 2 brain cells, yeah? But what I'm basically saying is these players should be rotational players off of the bench that we're bedding in while we have elite level talent on the pitch. Yeah, I'm looking at Haaland yesterday. There was a clip that I seen. I was watching, obviously, like I said, I didn't watch the full game. I watched the extended highlights, yeah? And there was a cross. I think it was Savio. Savio put a cross in. It got blocked. And Haaland just basically looked like, you like, what are you doing, mate? Like, he just looked like he couldn't be asked, like nothing was going to ever come to him. And I just thought to myself, these guys, yeah, they're just not good enough, whatever way you say it. And what pisses me off as well, yeah, I'm going to say my honest opinion. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It's my opinion, yeah. I'm allowed my opinion. It's not North Korea, yeah. Is that like we're arguing about these wingers, Amos, and they're mid. Like, you know what I mean? Doku had 5 good games, and people are saying, "Oh, make your apology as loud as your disrespects." Now where has he been for the last 4 or 5 games? Where's Savio? Yeah, he had 1 good game. What's he doing? Bob, like, you know what I mean? Meanwhile, why is Turkey not playing? Like, Turkey for me is a player that I wasn't even saying should start at the start of the season. I said, take your time with Turkey. Yeah, don't rush him in. Now I'm saying to myself, get him in the team, and he's not starting. So for me, yeah, but Lucas, yeah, my opinion, yeah, listen, let me put this opinion on it. My opinion is that Bob is our best winger. But I also said, yeah, what annoys me about people like you, Lucas, yeah, is that you miss out context, bro. You miss out context. Because when I said Bob is our best winger, I also said that was a red flag. I also said it was a red flag. I don't think that's a good thing that Bob's our best winger, bro. I think we should have players like Elise. I think we should have players like Kvaratskhelia at the football club. Yeah, when I say Bob's our best winger, whether you think I'm wrong or right, that is a red flag, bro. That I'm saying that. Do you know what I'm saying?
I semi-feel sorry for the likes of Bob and Savio and Doku because they shouldn't be expected to be the guys at Man City.
I agree. I actually agree with that.
Yeah,
it's sad.
Like we shouldn't be having conversations about, you know, take Oscar Bob for example, and saying that he needs to be shipped out. He's not good enough, blah blah. Because he, like you say, you go back to it. You said it's his first season, hopefully first full season in pro footy. Like that, he should have the room to sort of be allowed to grow into it. I do think there will come a time, and it should, in my opinion, be this season where at least one of Doku, Savinho, and Bob make that jump up and go, you know what, even if it's as a squad player, like I can contribute on the regular for City. And I don't think it's a surprise at all we're seeing Elise links this early on in the season. And you know what it is? Like, I think we obviously saw a little bit of winger talk, and Shirky comes in and maybe he makes a difference throughout the campaign. But I just think there was so much work that they needed to do across the last the January and summer transfer window. I think they probably wanted to do some winger movement, you know, get Rodrigo or whoever, get someone in. But I just think there was so much work to do in terms of the rest of the squad. They probably ran out of time, which again is their own fault. Like we're not sort of getting the violins out. I do wonder, for me, what I want to see, especially against Bournemouth, and it's not just because he scored a worldie against them last year, but I want to see Marmoush come in only for the reason that I don't think City right now are in a position, or Guardiola's in a position where he can be caring too much about style and the stylistic setup. Marmoush is, you know, I hate this phrase, but he's not your typical Pep player in the sense that, you know, you take Bob, for example, he was probably a Pep player in terms of the way he sort of controls possession and the way he moves, etc. Marmoush is a point of difference, though, and he is a goals and assist merchant. And I think City are at a position now where they shouldn't care where they come from, as long as it isn't just Erling Haaland doing it game after game after game after game. And don't get me wrong, like, if you can get to a situation where 70% of your goals are coming from Erling Haaland and 30% are coming from elsewhere, that is amazing in terms of City, because you know Erling Haaland's going to be putting up close to 40, 45 goals per season. Yeah. I just think, you know, Marmoush comes in, he can get some out of nothing. You know, we saw that with the Thunder strike against Bournemouth last year. We even saw it in that Brighton game, where he just sort of flicks a ball through, and whether or not he meant it don't really matter. It works, and Haaland scores off it. So that's kind of what I want to see. Shirky as well, I think you can put in that conversation. He's a player that you can get sort of some out of nothing. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a surprise we're seeing talk about City signing Elise, and like, it's mad. Whether or not he'd want to come, I don't know. That's probably up to City to make sure they're looking serious by the summer. But I think he fixes so many problems. It's almost like if you ask ChatGPT to make you perfect winger, he is there. You can't. If there's a 10% chance, City can't be fumbling that one, I don't think.
Nah, 100%, man. 100%. Like, listen, watch this. Manchester City need to sign a winger in January. No problems with regards to funds or finances. Which winger is the best winger Manchester City could sign that fixes their problems?
So there are a couple of big names that could be great fits for City. Kavicha Kvaratskhelia is a hot property, and he could bring that creative spark. Alejandro Garnacho is young and exciting too. If City wants someone proven and versatile, Christopher...
You fucking what, mate? Are you fucking... end the stream! Garnacho! What?
I was about to say Nkunku as well.
What? Garnacho, mate? What? Oh. Nah, end the stream, Dave. What is she on about, man? Garnacho? I went fucking mudded. Yeah. What is she on about, man? Garnacho. Fuck me, we're finished, boys, yeah? The Europa League soon come. Wow, that's a mad. I can't believe you said Garnacho.
That's so funny, man.
It got off to such a good start as well with Kvaratskhelia. I was like, yes, she's going to say Kvaratskhelia here, yeah, and then she's going to say fucking Elise, and I'm like, yeah, see, GPT knows, mate, yeah, and you just Garnacho, that's mad.
Chat GPT hooks and stinker, Jesus.
Man. Nah, but it is true though. It is true, like, and obviously there's nothing we can do until January, but I'm still of the opinion that we're not signing anybody in January, to be honest with you. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think you're right. I think like Marmouche, it's really difficult because I feel like our wingers though, Amos, are so unbalanced in that. Like, for me, yeah, who's been our best winger this year? Doku, yeah. But who do we need? Cherky and Marmouche, because I think you need Marmouche to score goals, and you need Cherky for the creativity. So then, where do you stick? Where'd you stick Doku? So I got a question for you, yeah, because someone asked me a question this morning. I was like, yo, that's fair. It's like, is there a world in which we play Doku on the left, Marmouche in the 10, Cherky on the right, and play Rodri when he's back, and Foden in the midfield, like as a Foden in the 8?
Yeah. I'd be interested to see it. I obviously, we've very rarely seen Foden play that deep. Off the top of my head, the only real game I can remember, he played it for England against like Andorra a couple of years ago, and he was pulling the strings, but you'd expect him to pull the strings against fucking plumbers and, you know, whatever. I think it could work, especially against those sort of low block teams, definitely. Because I obviously Foden wasn't great against Villa, but I don't think he got... You know, he was one of the better ones. He was picking some passes, and he did maybe on another day gets an assist, or, you know, he created a few chances. Don't get me wrong, the bar was on the floor, like, but it was still all right. But yeah, I think that could possibly work. I still think, I know I can see the chat sort of going for Tijani Reinders. I still think when you play him as an 8, he gives you something that we've not had for a couple of seasons, and I maintain that the sort of like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is coming with him. Like, he's been millimeters away from getting a couple of goals. Like that one against Monaco was unlucky. There's been a few that have sort of flashed past the post. He's beating the keeper. I think his energy in midfield is much better. What he can't be doing, and if we start seeing it again, big questions. We can't see him play 6 if Nico or Rodri's available, because the man just cannot win duels. And it's fine when you've got Nico J, who's a duel winning machine, but when you've got... I don't know where the thought process was.
That's not, and again, this is not reactionary. Yeah, we spoke about this on Saturday night on the preview where we said you can't play. I dropped Reinders in my team, Amos, on Saturday night.
I said that was probably fair.
I said, listen, if Nico G's not available, you have to get players in that midfield that can scrap. Nico G's not one of those guys. I don't know if you've seen that stat. I checked it today, so it's legit. 0 wins in 7 ground duels for Tijani Reinders against Villa.
He's terrible.
So for me, that decision's from Pep Guardiola. Yeah, and I'm sorry to say this about Pep, because I think his decision making this year has been great. Yeah, by the Spurs game. But I think that decision was a bad decision.
Yeah.
And it's not reactionary. I said it on Saturday night. I said, you can't play Tijani Reinders as a 6 against Aston Villa with John McGinn and Rodgers. Have you seen these guys play football? I watched Villa. I watched them last week. I've seen Villa play Premier League football. I know what they're about. I know what that midfield is about. They're a scrappy team. They're a team that goes to war. And if you're going to go there to Villa Park, which I've been to as a fan, yeah, you've been to as a fan, and I'm sure a few people in this chat have been to as a fan. You know what it's like. You need warriors on the pitch. This is what we were speaking about on Saturday. We was like, we need warriors. Who's a warrior? Doc, who's a warrior? Didn't play. Benched. Yeah, fucking Kovacic. He likes to get stuck in. Benched. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't know, man. I feel like, I don't like to crush it on Pep, man, but I feel like he got it completely wrong, man.
Yeah, it was a bad day. I think it was a bad day at the office for literally everyone involved with Man City, including the kit designers, because Jesus Christ, it's possibly one of the only kits I can remember.
Mate, yeah. Who come up with that, by the way?
Awful.
Yeah.
Somehow looks worse.
You know what, though? I do like that 4th kit, though. The NFC kit.
Yeah,
I call it. I call it the Keir Starmer digital ID kit because it's got the NFC
thing on it. Yeah,
NFC chip in it. You know what I mean? So whenever you go anywhere, you can just scan your NFC chip. You know what I mean? Like digital ID. But I do like
it looks smart. It looks smart. That one. That first was just abysmal. The rain one was just awful. No, I totally agree. It felt it was an absolute sort of brain fart decision. Kovacic. The thing is, though, we'll go back to it. Like, apart from bringing Rodri back to life and giving Nico Gonzalez, injury potion that could possibly make his situation worse, I think City could have the same issue in midfield with Kovacic, because we saw last season, like, City's midfield get overran when Kovacic was in there. I think what I put this down to, at least for now, maybe in like a month or 2 months' time, if we see some of the recurring issues, then we can go back to it. I just think it was the possibly the worst. I saw a Nobbins tweet say the same, actually. The worst sort of opponent, the worst ground, bar obviously like, Arsenal or Liverpool away or whatever, at the worst possible time in terms of the players we had available. Like, if you could swap me, I don't know, maybe this sounds mad actually, would you have swapped a fully fit Rodri for Haaland? Do you think City do better? Like, say your Marmoush starts up front, I think City possibly do better there if you get like.
Yeah, because for that individual game, and this is why. And I know. Listen, I know I stress people out, when I speak about this, But when I always mention the name Bruno Guimaraes, at Newcastle. Listen, I know people get triggered by it. Yeah, I'm sorry, trigger warning. Yeah, I'm sorry, chat. Yeah, I'm going to mention his name again. But there's a reason, Amos, I mention his name. I'm not in love with him. Yeah, I don't love the guy. Yeah, but as a footballer and what he offers and what he brings to teams, I think he's the type of. And I know we're not getting him. I know we're never going to get him. Yeah, so I'm just using him as an example. But for me, he's the type of player that I think this team is crying out for. A player that is good technically, but at the same time get stuck in. When was the last time you seen one of our midfielders, Amos, put a horrendous challenge in and get a yellow card and go, that was a bad tackle? I've never seen it, mate, for like 4 years, man. And last year, Kevin De Bruyne, and it's not just me, Kevin De Bruyne last year said our midfield is soft. He said it, not me. His words. He said our midfield is a soft midfield, Bernardo Silva said we play like a bunch of 14-year-olds. Yeah, our midfield is weak, and this is why for me, I don't know who the guy is you buy. Yeah, because for me, listen, Andres, if it was me and it was my money, I'd go and get Bruno G. Now I don't give a fuck, mate. But I'm just saying, And I recognise you're not going to get Bruno Guimaraes right now, but you got to go and get the next Bruno Guimaraes. Yeah, because we need somebody in that midfield that can get stuck in. Yeah, because I like Reinders. I think Reinders is a top player, Amos. I really like
he
him.
shouldn't be doing that role though. Like
But he
something's gone wrong
shouldn't
if
be
he's the
doing
one
that
else being
role.
asked to do that role, innit?
And
Yeah.
he should have been benched yesterday because he didn't suit the opposition. We needed warriors. Yeah, I like some of these players, but like I feel like we're still lacking a midfielder that gets stuck in. Now, who you get, like honestly, like Wharton. I've seen Wharton a few times, yeah, and obviously he's a technical baller, but does he get stuck in? I don't know if he.
I think it's Elliot Anderson. You know, my stats went early.
I seen your tweet, man.
Yeah, they went
You
early.
tweeted
I
him a
think
couple of
it
weeks
can
ago.
be. I think it can be him. He is, and I think he can. He's obviously still young. What age is he? 22, is it? Yeah, 22. No, he's going to be 23 next week. So he's still young, but he's at that stage of his career. Like obviously, Rodri came in when he was 23. Nico G came in when he was 23. You've got that room to develop, but you've had enough Premier League experience. I think he can be that warrior. Bit of. Obviously, this is high praise, but a touch of Fernandinho about him in terms of like you've got that passing ability, you've got that pauser, but you've also got that. You know what? If I need to, I'll hack a player down. Do you know what? At the moment, you asked the question, when was the last time we saw a City midfielder do that? I genuinely think the only one at the moment who can is Rico Lewis, which is mad because he's like the tiniest player in the squad. Maybe, I've not heard any shouts for Rico yesterday. Possibly he would have been a little bit better because you know what, physicality-wise, he's obviously not there and he might have got out-muscled, but he's going to fight and he's going to battle. But yeah, I don't know. I think that obviously we spoke winger, but I do think midfield's going to be an issue, an area that City need to buy because.
Well, we are going to have to do it. Obviously, Bernardo Silva's leaving at the end of the year. Everybody knows that anyway. Kovacic will probably leave as well. So you know we might be in the market for two, but for me, if one of those two midfielders is not somebody that is a dick to the opposition, i.e., snaps players, gets yellow cards, all that kind of, we need players like that.
You want to be fair.
You want to be
like people clowned Arsenal, but players don't like going up against Gabriel now. Players don't like going up against Declan Rice, I don't know who else they've got in there, but they're a team that has got physicality, and maybe that is how football is trending. I don't know. Maybe it will die out in a couple of seasons, but you need like every successful football team needs those guys.
I don't think I believe I'm very much a person that believes football is cyclical. Yeah. So it's no surprise to me that football now has come from the whole tiki-taka situation that it was a few years ago to now pace and power. But something that I never think will ever leave the game is that rock solid, like twat in midfield that you need.
And Fernandinho, City's best ever teams had Fernandinho in there.
Fernandinho, mate.
Yeah,
just players like that, and that's why, you know what I mean. And again, I'm not saying we should sign Elliot Anderson, but the point when I look at Elliot Anderson, I think a lot of people don't get it. Is like I look at Elliot Anderson, I think he's a bit of a hybrid, Amos, to a Baleba and Wharton. I look at Baleba and I think, right, Baleba, you're an off-the-ball monster, but on the ball, I have made you concerns about on the ball with Baleba. I don't think he's very good on the ball. And I watched him at the weekend against, who did they play? Yeah, and he was bad on the ball. Every time he got the ball,
he's been bad all season, to be fair.
He was. He has. And then I watched Wharton and I'm thinking, you're like unbelievable on the ball, but do you get stuck in? Are you going to take a yellow card from me? Are you going to snap somebody's legs? You know what I mean? I don't think you are.
Agreed.
And then look at Elliot Anderson. I think you could be the guy. I think he's the player for me that's like in between both of Baleba and Wharton, where he's technically very good, but also he likes to get stuck in. And and listen, again, I've only properly started watching Wharton this year, so I'm not going to say City need to sign him, 100%. But when I watch him, I see something in him that I think, you know what, we need a bit of you in our team. But even if you don't go and get him, And Dave, listen, mate, I think we're going to need two midfielders because I think Kovacic and Bernardo are both leaving at the end of the season.
Yeah,
so I'm if you want to go and get Wharton and Anderson, I'm all down for it. Yeah. And by the way, Tonali's just signed a new contract, so ignore Tonali. There's no point in speaking about him. But I think Anderson could be that guy. But I just think that midfield is just lacking some aggression and some. And the thing is, as well, it's not even like a because you go on again. You got a season ticket, haven't you?
Yeah.
Right. So when I'm speaking about football, right, and I'm speaking about like, oh yeah, we need that guy. It's not just about football. In the home games, tackles like that get fans up for it, and then the fans get up for it. I remember Nigel de Jong, yeah. We used to be at some matches, and the game would be dead. We'd be drawing or losing or whatever, and the atmosphere would be dead. And then Nigel de Jong would just come in, bang somebody out, and then boom, the whole fan base would
He
be
had
up
a
for it.
song about sliding in and getting tackles. That was De Jong's song.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it counts.
Oh, when
It
De
counts for
Jong
more than
go sliding in. Oh, when De Jong go sliding in. But this is what I'm talking about. Like,
it counts.
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially at home, sometimes you need a player like that just slide in, and this is for me. And that's what exactly, Isak. You're absolutely spot on. And this is why back in January, when I never seen this guy play football in my life. Yeah, and then Hamza sent me a video compilation of this guy play football. I was like, I need this guy on my team right now because he had aggression. And I just think this team needs that midfielder. Now, again, chat, yeah, I'm not saying go sign Elliot Anderson. Yeah, I'm saying he's the type of player that has the qualities that I'm looking for. If you can find me a better player than him, cool. I'm not asked if it's him or somebody else. I just want a warrior in midfield. And at the moment, I feel like Nico Gonzalez has a little bit of that. He definitely does. Yeah, I don't think we should like disrespect Nico Gonzalez. I think he definitely has that sort of, tackle mentality. But, if Rodri's injured and we don't know what's going on with him and Nico's not available, I still think you need someone next to him. So I don't know. And the thing is as well, we might need English players. So you got to think of that.
Yeah.
Like, do we need any English players? I think he's good, man. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just a bit frustrated, Amos, because I was so buzzing before this game. I was on a 9-match unbeaten streak. And I said to the chat on Saturday night, I said, listen, I think we're going to go there and put it on him. I think we're going to win the game. And every time I've got like proper, like positive this season, we've lost. So like we beat Juventus in the Club World Cup and we played really well. And then we played that Saudi team. I was like, yo, we'll smack this Saudi team off the park. It'd be like 5-0, got beat. We played Wolves. Smacked them off the park. We played really, really well against Wolves. Lost the next game against Tottenham. And I feel like every time I get like really excited and really buzzing for the next game and really excited for the season, we fucking lose.
No, it does feel like that. To be fair, I think this season in general is going to be a little bit like that because for me, it's like, I think we're 80%, no, maybe 75% of the way there in terms of personnel, in terms of sort of profiles of player. And I think we will have spells where it's like 5 or 6 games unbeaten or 5 or 6 wins in a row and people going, oh, you know what, can City get back in the title race? Can they do this, that, the other? And then there might be a home game against whoever, or there might be a tricky away match, and it's like, oh, well, no, actually, they've fallen at the first hurdle. I don't think, like I said before, I don't think it's panic stations. I am seeing enough positivity in the matches. And look, we haven't had a perfect 90 minutes, I don't think. But I think, again, that's kind of where this team is at. It takes, look at Arsenal, how long it's taken them to get to a position where, to be fair, they've not even been playing that well, but where they can just sort of consistently churn out results on the regular. It takes a while, and I do think City, a lot of it is up here. Like the Monaco game, for example. It takes a lot and it takes a while to get that killer mentality within a squad. You've got to have been there and been hurt, like at the Bernabeu in the last minute where you concede 2 to sort of not go to Champions League final. You need that sort of that scar tissue to build up a little bit, I think. So I think there's more reasons to be positive than the reasons to be negative. But like we've said throughout this chat, throughout this stream, there are issues that need to be addressed, and if those issues don't sort of see some method of being fixed or some way to go in to get fixed, then in a month's time, red flag. We've got a game up against Real Madrid in December. That could, what sort of state will the team be in by then? Like I said before, Bournemouth, Dortmund, Liverpool. That for me is like, ask me after that Liverpool game where we're at, and I think I could probably tell you where the season's going to go, because I think those 3 matches, because we're all at home as well, so you can sort of see where where the team is at, and you sort of take away the factors of an away ground, blah blah blah. I think that's going to be big. Yeah, I'm still, it's frustrating. It was a bad day at the office for everyone, Guardiola included. But see where we go. Bournemouth 4-4, perfect for me. That's in terms of bouncing back. Like, the crowd will be up for it. And I do think possibly, if you're looking for sort of a way to spin this, and it might be delusion, maybe it's a decent reality check at the right time, because City played Villa at a bad time in terms of their form and City's injuries. But like, maybe within the squad, they go, you know what, we don't want to get complacent. We don't want to rest on our laurels. Like, there's still low. We still need to sort of, get our socks up and whatever. So I do think there is positive steps being taken, but room for improvement. Which, you know what, it's been a while since we've had a City team like that, and I think I'm just going to try and enjoy it for what it is, because I think it makes the wins that little bit sweeter. When you do have to grind out a win and you do have to play a bit dirty to get it out. It's been ages. I think 2016-17 is possibly the last time we've had this sort of been in this situation. So it is a bit of a novelty for a lot of people. But yeah, interesting.
All right, let's come to some of these chats. Smash these likes up as well, boys. Yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Subscribe to City Ramble. Link is in the description as well, boys. Make sure you guys are subbed up to. And if you're wondering where Hugh is, listen, the guy's a sucker to corporate. Yeah, he had to stay at work, mate. Listen, the little guy gets screwed once again. Honestly, man. Yeah, honestly, it's crazy. But we got Adam, who says, don't play Rodri against Swansea. Play him 10 minutes against Bournemouth and 15 minutes against Dortmund. Then give him like 15 minutes against Liverpool, says Adam. Well, listen, mate. Obviously, managing Rodri's minutes is a big thing and very important. But with Nico back and playing well, I don't think it's as much as a problem as it was last season, if I'm being honest with you. But obviously, Liverpool's a game that really... you'd be looking for him back, bro. But yeah, 100% on play him against Swansea. No way, bro. Shout out to NBA, man. Says the problem is Pep tactics. His main philosophy is built on ball retention. However, this current team is more built for 50-50 or even the counter-attacks, says NBA. Listen, bro, I'll say this. Yeah, I don't think Pep had a good day yesterday. I thought he got his starting 11 wrong. Other than that, though, I think Pep's got his tactics right for most of the year. Maybe bad the Tottenham game, which I didn't really agree with the starting 11 in that. But I think he's got most of the stuff right. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I'm still looking at some of these players, bro, and the wingers and that. And like, Pep doesn't decide who's wingers. Yeah, that's the club. He just gets the play. He said it himself in an interview in the weekend. He said, I don't decide the players. The club decides the play. I have my input, but ultimately... yeah, the club decides who the players are, and we're watching. And listen, yeah, I do think he should be churchy. I'm not saying Pep didn't get it wrong. I've just said I think he did get it wrong. But I think for me, the board has to take a bit of a blame here for me, in my opinion, with regards to some of the players that they picked. But now, big up to you as well. Big up to Fahad, says, even with this L, I'm more confident of winning the Premier League, says Fahad. Oh, you got confidence, yeah? I still think we're thereabouts. Because the thing is for me, Amos, is I look at Arsenal, right? And Arsenal obviously a good team, yeah. But if you look at Arsenal, look at City, and I'm not even trying to be biased here. If I said to you, who's got the biggest upside from their current performances, Manchester City or Arsenal? I think it's Manchester City by a country mile.
Yeah.
Yeah. The question will be...
You can't do much more with what Arsenal are doing right now. Like, it feels like their ceiling is kind of where they're at. And like, you don't get me wrong, they could have a season where they just shut everyone out and they defend and they get, Prem title, Champions League, whatever. Like, there is a very strong possibility because they are incredible defenders. But I agree, like, you look at where City could go. That's why I'm staying positive. And like, you read that out after that performance yesterday, it does sound like a bit of a mad sentence. But the issue with Arsenal, we are so far away from being able to tell if Arsenal have fixed their problems, because they got 91 points in 2023 or something like that. For them, it was always about when push comes to shove, when those big matches come along, can they keep their bottle? That's a question for February, March, April, May. It ain't a question for now. And look,
but are we going to? And the thing that I've always been saying, and this is again not reactionary. I said this in the start of the season. Will we still be in touching distance of Arsenal by January, February time?
Yeah, that I think
Because
that is one of, because if they get serious, I think they could win it before Christmas. Because if they sort of lock in and
I agree.
like go unbeaten until Christmas, which would be a mad achievement, but even still, that's probably going to give them the buffer where they can afford 1 or 2 drop points in the run-in. I said at the start of the season, I think City can win the league, but if City win the league this season, it will be because everyone else, well, Liverpool and Arsenal specifically, don't sort of maximise their own squads and their own potential. I think City will need a helping hand as opposed to City dominating the league. I still think there's a healthy enough chance that City are up there, but like you say, it's what sort of gap for them will be unattainable, and it feels like we're sort of stretching towards that, doesn't it, in terms of numbers? But
no, 100%, I agree, man. I don't think we're a bad team. I think we're a good team, mate. I think we're a decent team. It's just like to win the league, and this is what annoys me about some City fans. It's like, you know what it takes to win this league, and some City fans are so fucking weird that they're like, oh, everything's fine. And it's like, yo, you know what it's like to win it. You know we have to be amazing. You know we have to be on it, yeah, big time. And I'm looking at this, right? And I'm looking at this stat, right? Before we wrap up, yeah, because I'm gonna wrap up in a minute, but I got to go get my tea in it, yeah. But listen to this stat, right? Since the treble, right? So last 3 seasons, City have played 22 away games against the top. City have played 22 away games last seasons against the top 10, yeah, and won 7 away games. 31%, mate, against the top 10 away. When we go away against the top 10 team, yeah, there is less than a 1/3 chance that we're winning that game. That is absolutely horrific. And by the way, this started in the 4-peat year.
yeah,
If you go back to the
bad.
4-peat year and look at our results in the 4-peat year, and this is why it annoys me when people say, "Oh, we won the league, stop moaning." It's because if you actually look in that year, we struggled big time. We struggled big time. And this is the thing for me, is like, I think there's a bit of a problem in this team. When we play the better teams, Amos, yeah, I don't think we're that. I don't know what happens to us, man. I don't know if it's a pep system, pep tactics, players aren't good. I don't know, but clearly the stats tell me, yeah, when we play good teams, yeah, I don't think it's that. I don't know what's going on, and I think that needs to be fixed as well, because we didn't beat Tottenham, we didn't beat Arsenal, yeah, we didn't beat Villa. Yeah, and you go back last year, it's not great there either. So I think there's a thing for me, is that when we go into these bigger games, we need to be better. It's a fact, and you can't argue with it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think that is always, like we said it on this show. You said it on streams. I've said it on podcasts for years. Like you say, going back to 2023, I remember that run of, I think we had Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs in a row or something like that, and didn't win any of them. And like, obviously City did win the league title, and look, you can get away with sort of drawing your way through big matches and still winning the league title, because
you did that year, Amos. Did I tell you last week the 2 games in that during the 4-peat year? That 4-peat year is mad. In that 4-peat year, yeah, there was only 2 matches outside the top 6 which we didn't win.
Jesus, that is mad. That
basically, yeah. In that 4-peat year, we were flat track buddies. Do you have a guess the games? Go on, see if you can remember the games.
Outside the top 10. Were they at home or away? Or do you not know?
One was away, and I think the other one might have been away as well.
Forest? Was that one of them?
Nope.
That was the season before, wasn't it? They drew them. Yeah, because they beat them late on. Bloody hell. Stuck. Can't even think.
The Korean guy.
Oh yeah.
Wolves.
Yeah.
Away when that guy he scored. Fucking Pep called him the Korean guy, and he
should
scored.
Have been sent off, shouldn't he? Yeah.
He should have been sent off, and then I think it was Palace away. We drew 2-2. I think. Did we drew 2-2, chat? Or 1-1?
No, beat Palace that season, because it's that mad one when Kev turned it on in that sort of white and burgundy.
Let me check, because there was basically 2 games that season, right, where we didn't win, and we beat everybody else.
Palace at home? Was it Palace at home? Do you mean? Because we defo won away. Because you remember, I think Rico Lewis scored and De Bruyne scored. It might have been before the Real Madrid quarterfinal. Because De
Right, here we
Bruyne
go.
scored a worldie.
I'm
And
looking at the chat, but I'm going to try to get it up now.
penalty as well.
Fixtures by
Yeah,
date.
it was the home game. It was the home game before the Club World Cup.
Oh yeah, it was the Foden one.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Foden gave that penalty away last minute? So the only 2 games that season, right? And this is why it pisses me off, is because people don't actually look at anything. People don't look at numbers or stats or nothing, yeah. And that year, yeah, the only 2 games we won, the only 2 games that we didn't win that year outside the top 6 was them 2 games. And I'm thinking to myself, yo, you guys have got to realize, man, that like that is not normal. Like you can't just do that.
To be fair, like I will flip that. I will say, like, you can, if you can somehow find a way to beat every single team that is outside of the big bubble, like you can. What did it? 91 points that season. I would hazard a guess, out of what has there been, like 36 Premier League seasons, I'd hazard a guess and say like 30 of them probably that wins you the league. So like you can. It's not sustainable. Don't get me wrong, but you can get away with it. But you obviously need. Yeah, clearly. But you do need to be cashing in on those sort of bigger matches, especially at home. Like, how few matches at home have we had like big wins? I can think of a couple. No, I can think of one against Chelsea last year when we were dog shit, but so were they. I can think of obviously United. Semi seems to do okay over the last few years at home to United. Can't remember off the top of my head the last win we had versus Liverpool at home. Was it treble season 2023? That 4-1 when Haaland was out.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it would have been, wouldn't it? It would have been the same for Arsenal because we've drawn against them at home the last couple of seasons.
We're just not getting results against the big teams.
Spurs not beating them at home for.
We just can't get that, and that's the difference is for me. Yeah, before we wrap up, is in the 4-peat year, yes, we had this bad record against the top 6 sides. That record existed that year as well, but we beat everybody outside the top 6. And now we're not beating everybody outside the top 6, but we're also still not getting results against the big teams. So that tells me we're going to finish about 2nd or 3rd. And that's where I think at the moment we're heading, unless we can, get over this sort of position. But listen, let's see what goes on, man. Let's go to some of these chats before we wrap it up. Big up to Foggy as well for 19 months, man. I appreciate it. Big up to you, mate. And last comment before we wrap it up, man. I think it's an interesting one. Big up to Taurus, bro. It says, LB, why is everybody blaming Pep on the Villa loss? What about Haaland missing a 1v1? Okay, so I don't know if you was in the stream this morning, bro, yeah, because I spoke about this morning. But listen, I'll say this about Haaland, yeah. In my opinion, he should have done better with the 1v1. However, in my view, I feel sick and disgusted in blaming the player who's only the one in this team that's scoring goals. So, yes, I will be balanced. I will say, yeah, I think he should have done better with the shot. However, if you think I'm going to sit here, mate, and crash it on Erling Haaland when he's the only player in this team that is scoring goals, it ain't going to happen. Yeah, why is everybody else? Why is Savio not scoring? Why is Bob not scoring? Why is Reinders not scoring? Why is Foden not scoring? I ain't going to sit here and crash it on Haaland, man, for not taking his chance when he had the one shot, yeah? Because, I do think he should have done better with it, yeah? Don't get twisted. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done better. I do think he should have done better. But I'm not going to sit here and start fucking slagging the only guy off that's scoring goals in our team, mate. Yeah, look at Rajiv there in the chat. Savio scored 1 goal in 35 games, and you want me to crash it on Haaland? It ain't happening, man. I'll be balanced. I'll say, listen, I think he should have done better with the shot. But that's as far as I'm going to go. As far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to crash it on a guy who's the only player in our team that's scoring goals, mate. I don't know if you've got a different opinion. You think he should
No, I like, don't get me wrong. I thought he should have scored. And I go back to it. This is why I'm not sort of drawing big picture conclusions. I thought everyone was bad. And like, I get the argument with Haaland. He's paid stupid amount of money to do that one thing. And I do think he's obviously defensively, he's chipped in this season. But like 95% of his game is about those situations where he's in front of goal and he's got a score and he didn't. So like technically he didn't do his job. But at the same time, obviously, where would we have been if he didn't do sort of 50% of what he's done already this season? And look, I see Pep getting a lot of flack. I think that's fine. Obviously, the decision to start the team as he did was poor. But I don't think the subs were bad at all. Like I think every single person on the timeline when I was scrolling through at the time was saying, "Get Doku on, get who else was at the time? Nico O'Reilly came on. Get Nico Gonzalez on. Marmouche came on eventually. Maybe you could have rolled the Shirky dice a little bit earlier, but it is what it is. Like, ultimately, as we've said a million times already, those attacking players, eventually it comes down to them. So, like, if they don't do that, like, Pep can't stick the ball in the back of the net for Foden, or he can't do it for Savio, or he can't do it for Doku. Do you know what I mean? So, look, bad day at the office. City fans, I wouldn't be sort of losing too much sleep about it. Hopefully, confidence booster against Swansea. That, like, we've not even spoke about that, but I think that's a good game to hopefully get us back up and running. We should see Marmouche, should see Shirky, Kovacic should get some minutes. Bob, possibly you can play him into a bit of form as well. So I think that'll be an interesting one to watch. And like I said, Bournemouth, Dortmund, Liverpool, that's massive. Like, we'll see where this team is at after them, I think.
Yeah. Nah, I agree. Sweet. All right then, guys. Well, we'll leave it there, man. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed the show. I am on with Hugh tomorrow, and I should be on with Daps in the daytime as well, man. So make sure you guys are subbed up to the channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. If you're not subscribed to City Ramble, then link is in the description. Make sure you're hitting that link, or go on Spotify, Apple, whatever. What's Apple Podcasts? I don't know what it's called. Yeah. I'm Android guy. I'm on Spotify. I don't know what Apple is. Yeah, Apple Music, whatever the shit's called. Yeah. Make sure you guys are subscribed up to City Ramble, and I'll be back tomorrow with Hugh, innit? You know what I'm saying? So I've just got a message now. Apparently, Rodri's back in training. So that's good news. That's Happy good days. News. So we'll see what goes on there. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed, man. Smash the likes. Make sure you guys are subscribed, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, guys.